Good evening and welcome in Hamburg, the biggest port city in Germany. Here we are in one of the oldest yet most advanced planetariums in the world. This planetarium with its 20-meter dome has no telescope. It is a sky theater which simulates and immerses you with the cosmos and its storylines, even in bright daytime. Historically, huge and impressive optomechanical machines, like the one you see behind me, were used and are still in use. But nowadays, digital planetarium technology has taken over and can do so much more than just to project the night sky on a huge dome. Our digital cosmos simulator called DigiStar is capable to put us anywhere in space and time. The same 3D cosmos simulator is also used on board Viking Jupiter and Viking Orion. These two grand ships have the most advanced planetarium systems at sea in their Explorer's dome. Now, let us use the capability of such a digital planetarium. Do you remember the skies of last year? Just before Christmas in 2020, we had a dramatic Christmas star, better described as Great Conjunction of Planets. And in summer last year, we had the rare spectacle of a bright comet, Comet Neowise. So now, what will be the best skywatching experiences in 2021? I will tell you about it. And you will encounter planets, supermoons, shooting stars, and eclipses. And maybe even a surprise visitor from outer space. But don't worry, you don't need a telescope. You just need to go out and look up with your own eyes. You will be amazed. Okay, let us have a look at the night sky starting this month at 34 degrees north, the latitude of Los Angeles in California. If you live in other latitudes, there will be no substantial difference unless mentioned otherwise. So, go out and find a place away from the glare of the city with a clear, unobstructed view down to the horizon. We are looking west, waiting for the sunset. Right after sunset in mid-April, we will be treated with a great show. A thin crescent moon can be seen in the evening sky on April 14, just 2 days after new moon. It floats like a ship next to the beautiful Seven Sisters, the Pleiades star cluster. Just use a pair of binoculars to enjoy a close-up view of this beautiful arrangement. The Pleiades are an open star cluster. At a distance of 440 light-years, hundreds of young stars form this stellar kindergarten. The V-shaped Hyades cluster looks much more spread out in comparison and lies much closer, 150 light-years away. The Hyades cluster stars seem anchored by bright Aldebaran, a red giant star with a yellowish appearance. But Aldebaran actually lies only 65 light-years distant. Just by chance, it is along the line of sight to the Hyades cluster. According to Greek mythology, the Hyades are the half-sisters of the Pleiades. Both are daughters of Atlas. Now look again to the moon. Notice that there is a dull glow which lights up the unlit part of the moon. It is sometimes called ashen glow or the Da Vinci glow because Leonardo da Vinci explained this phenomenon for the first time. It is caused by sunlight reflected off the Earth's surface, illuminating the unlit portion of the Moon's surface. This glow is Earthshine. Indeed, worth watching. So welcome to the waxing crescent moon, but farewell to the winter skies. April is our last chance to enjoy its splendors. Time to say goodbye to Orion, the Hunter, the most beautiful constellation. The central part of Orion looks more like a giant butterfly in the sky. The three central stars, the belt stars of the Hunter, are good wayfinders. They mark almost a straight line. We can extend it to the bright star Sirius on the left and to the Pleiades on the right side. You cannot overlook Sirius. This twinkling point of light is the brightest and closest fixed star we can observe from mid-northern latitudes. Sirius is 9 light years away from us. Sirius is known as the Dog Star because it is the most prominent star in the constellation Canis Major, the Greater Dog. Use the upcoming evenings to watch Sirius for the last time. In just a few weeks, it will be hiding in the glare around the sun. At the end of August, it will reappear in the morning sky, in the east before sunrise. To the north from Orion, we find 2 constellations of the zodiac, Gemini the Twins and Taurus the Bull. Their eternal pattern form the backdrop for the evening appearance of the waxing crescent moon. And there is yet another wandering star besides the moon, Mars. He reigns the evening sky till summer. Mars lies high in the western sky after sunset, joining the stars of Taurus the Bull. It just passes between the 2 stars, marking the horns of the bull. Compare the red planet's signature orange-colored glow to Aldebaran, the bull's star. Aldebaran appears a bit brighter, but similar in color. Well, a bit more reddish, maybe. Like all stars, Aldebaran is emitting its own light. It appears red due to its cool surface temperature of around 4,000 Kelvin, which is 6,700 degrees Fahrenheit. As opposed, Mars is only a cold, rocky planet like Earth and has no light of its own. Instead, its ruddy color occurs because it reflects sunlight preferentially in the red part of the spectrum, due to the makeup of its rusty surface material. The cool thing is that Mars is a target for human exploration. 3 robotic scouts just reached the red planet in February this year. Never before have so many earthly visitors reached the red planet in such a short period of time. On February 18th, the Mars rover Perseverance landed on Mars. Here we see some of the first images taken by Percy, the nickname for perseverance. Mars appears as a cold desert landscape. Equipped with eyes and ears and wheels, this fantastic rover is our detective in this alien environment. A human observer with normal vision, if standing on Mars, could easily see Earth and the Moon as two distinct but bright stars in the evening or morning twilight. The other Mars rover, Curiosity, snapped this photo on the Martian surface in 2014. So, yes, you're here, on this tiny dot. Now back on this dot, back on Earth. Red Planet Mars once more appears as a tiny dot of light. But this tiny point in the evening sky is a unique arena in which researchers want to find answers for the big questions about the origin and basic conditions of life in space and on Earth. Mars research is environmental research in a broader sense, and will open up completely new perspectives on our Earth's climate and the future of our civilization. Currently, Mars is the only planet visible most of the night. Mars sets shortly after local midnight, so it's best to catch the planet soon after twilight for the best views. The beautiful crescent moon approaches Mars. On the evening of April 16th, it seems to stretch its tips towards Mars, as if it wants to embrace the red planet. But remember, Mars is way beyond the Moon, currently more than 700 times further out. Mars itself is a wandering star, a planet, which drifts much slower in the front of the constellation Taurus. On April 24th, it will cross into Gemini. Mars will be visible until June, and then, finally, we have to say goodbye Mars for the rest of the year. It will be hidden in the glare behind the sun. Now listen, I have a little exercise for everyone tonight. Wait until it's completely dark and then, quite simply, lift your head and look up. Up there, right above your head, there they are, the 7 stars of the Big Dipper, or the Plough. From Britain and the northern United States, they are always in the sky. They never set. But in the course of the year, they are never as good as they are now, in the late evening high above us. Actually, the Dipper is not an official constellation. It is what we call an asterism, and only the brightest part of the constellation Ursa Major, the Great Bear. Even in bright cities, we manage to see those 7 stars of the Big Dipper, and we make use of them as a wayfinder. We use the back-end stars of the Dipper's bowl, the pointers, to locate Polaris, the North Star. Now, if we trace the line of the pointers the wrong way, meaning away from the North Star, this leads us to the stars of Leo, the Lion. If we follow the arc of the Big Dipper's handle, we reach Arcturus, the guardian of the bear. And by continuing this path in southern direction, one can find Spica in Virgo. So remember, arc to Arcturus, then spike to Spica. Arcturus, by the way, is a cool red star. Spica appears bluish-white and is a much hotter star. Virgo, the Maiden, and Leo, the Lion, are typical constellations in springtime. In April, you can see them all night through. They are part of the zodiac, and so planets, sun and moon can be seen in these constellations. This month, the moon is the only visitor. The waxing gibbous moon traverses this region after April 20th. From Leo, it crosses over into Virgo. And on April 26th, there is a full moon east of Spica, across the official border and in the constellation Libra the Scales. This upcoming full moon will be a so-called supermoon because it appears somewhat larger than usual, since it passes through its closest point on orbit only a few hours later. Well, as a matter of fact, it only appears to us by about 6% larger than an average full moon. The difference is hardly noticeable. And actually, this is the first of 3 supermoons of the year 2021. More on this later. Like every full moon, this one is located opposite to the sun. So it rises around sunset. Not just the moon. In the course of the night, all stars seem to move from east to west across the sky. New stars are rising in the east, a result of the Earth's rotation. In the early morning hours, typical constellations of summer make their appearance. The twinkling stars of Scorpius and Sagittarius, the Archer, are already above the southern horizon. And later, after 3 a.m. in the morning, you will notice 2 very bright dots of light, Jupiter and Saturn. The giant planets conquer the morning sky. Saturn rises shortly after 3 a.m. local time and stands more than 10 degrees high at the onset of twilight in the constellation Capricornus. For the first time in many years, Jupiter appears to the left, meaning east of Saturn. Jupiter rises less than an hour after Saturn. The much brighter planet has overtaken Saturn and just crossed into Aquarius. Just as dawn begins to break, this beautiful planetary duo reaches about 20 degrees in elevation in the southeastern sky. Between now and August, when Jupiter reaches opposition, the 2 giant planets will climb higher in the eastern sky each month, gaining altitude and offering improved conditions for observing. These 2 giant planets prepare to become highlights in the summer skies. But in a lot of ways, it's going to be the moon that brings some of the best skywatching experiences until summer. The supermoon in April is just the beginning. Hold your breath. There is a total of 3 supermoons and the first total lunar eclipse blood moon to be visible from North America for a few years, plus a blue moon, all happening till summer this year. A supermoon is a full moon that nearly coincides with the moon's perigee, the closest point to the Earth in the moon's monthly orbit. In 2021, that will happen 3 times, in April, in May, and in June. So let us jump to the full moon in May, which is nicknamed as the flower moon. It happens on May 26th. This will easily be the best astronomical event of all of 2021, at least for anyone in North America, because it will be a super flower blood moon. On May 26th at 10 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, the moon will arrive at its closest point to the Earth. A little over 9 hours later, the moon will officially turn full. Occurring as close to the moon's perigee in May makes this full moon the biggest and brightest full moon of 2021. But that's not all what makes this a very special moon. For those in Australia, parts of Western US, Western, South America, and Southeast Asia, this supermoon will move into the Earth's darkest central shadow and cause a lunar eclipse, a blood moon. The moon will pass north of the center of the Earth's dark umbra. For around 15 minutes, this is turning the lunar surface a reddish copper color. This darkened blood moon will glow in Scorpius. This total lunar eclipse favors the geographic area surrounding the Pacific Ocean. Hawaiians get a great view with the eclipse happening high in their sky in the middle of the night. Across North America, western regions will be able to see the total phase and a part of the closing partial stages before moonset intervenes. Central regions will be able to watch the start of the partial stages up to totality before the moon sets. Eastern regions must be content with perhaps a small scallop of darkness. So don't miss this super flower blood moon on May 26th. And this event will not be alone, because eclipses usually come as pairs. 2 weeks later, on June 10th, when our moon approaches new moon, it will align with our Earth and the Sun for a second time. Usually, new moons are invisible to us since they occur when the moon is between the Earth and the Sun. However, when they pass precisely between them, then it gets exciting. Because the moon will be situated near its furthest point from Earth, the lunar disk appears smaller than usual, 5.7% smaller to be exact. So when the moon passes in front of the Sun, it will not totally cover her face, but instead a ring of sunlight will remain visible. It is called an annular eclipse. Call it a penny on nickel effect, with the nickel representing the Sun and the penny the moon. The path of annularity of the June 10th eclipse tracks through central and northern Canada, northwest Greenland, past the North Pole, and finally ending over northeast Siberia. So, on June 10th, most of the US and Canada will see a huge partial solar eclipse right before breakfast. The closing stages of the eclipse will be visible from Minnesota, the Great Lakes, and Ohio Valley, as well as the Carolinas and Mid-Atlantic states. For those who live in New York State, New England, as well as southern portions of Ontario and Quebec, there will be an opportunity to see a most unusual sunrise this morning. The sun will rise looking like a crescent with cusps pointing upward. A spectacular sight. But please do not look directly at the sun without special purpose solar filters, such as eclipse glasses or handheld solar viewers. 2 weeks later, the third and final supermoon of the year is the super strawberry moon. The strawberry moon in June signaled the beginning of the strawberry picking season. It occurs just a few days after the Northern Hemisphere's summer solstice. So it is the first full moon of summer and the lowest hanging full moon, I have to say, of the year. The super strawberry moon shines in front of the southernmost constellation of the zodiac, Sagittarius the Archer. The brightest stars form a pattern, which is known as the teapot. This asterism lies next to a dense area of the Milky Way. Under exceptionally good conditions, the Milky Way appears as steam coming out of the spout of the teapot. But in a full moon night like this, you won't be able to see the Milky Way. You know, moonlight is not the best friend of stargazers. It washes away myriads of fainter stars. Fortunately, the moon is in motion, and night after night it moves eastwards among the stars of the zodiac and rises almost an hour later each day. And in the absence of moonlight, we have a chance to explore the beauty of the summer Milky Way. Every star we see with the unaided eye is a member of our Milky Way galaxy. The combined glow of myriads of far-off suns congregate into a beautiful archway, lighting up the great vault of the sky. But you need a dark sky for observing this glow of the Milky Way. Like a river of light, it flows northwards, towards 3 bright stars, Altair, Vega, and Deneb. They form the so-called summer triangle, visible all night during summer, with Deneb and Vega hanging straight overhead at midnight. This triangle remains in the evening sky even until the end of the year. In early August, you will experience wonderful celestial fireworks. Hundreds of shooting stars. The Perseids, the most popular meteor shower, peaks on warm August nights as seen from the Northern Hemisphere. You should see about 50 to 75 shower members per hour. These shooting stars are called Perseids, since the area of the sky where the meteors seem to originate is located in the constellation of Perseus, next to the great W in the sky. These meteors are caused by streams of tiny dust particles entering the Earth's atmosphere at extremely high speeds on parallel trajectories. Let's change our point of view and leave the Earth to find out more about the source of these particles and the meteor shower. More than 400,000 kilometers away from Earth, we pass the orbit of the Moon. we look back at our tiny home planet, which completes one orbit around the Sun each year. In August, Earth is ahead of inner planet Venus and outer planet Mars. Seen from Earth, they appear more or less in the direction of the Sun and are not visible at night. But giant planet Jupiter and the distant ring planet Saturn are on the opposite side and can be seen from Earth all night in almost the same direction. Way beyond them are the orbits of Uranus and Neptune, icy worlds which are too faint to be seen without telescopes. But that's not all. There are tiny members of the solar system, icy snowballs, or better, dust balls. Among them, Comet Swift-Tuttle, an ice ball 26 kilometers in diameter. It is the parent body of the Perseids. Its orbit is strongly tilted and takes the comet from beyond Neptune close to the Earth's orbit. The comet loses dust particles. They are distributed along its orbital plane, and so the Earth crosses through a river of dust particles every year in August. Around August 12th, the Earth crosses the orbit of the comet, and millions of sand grains from the comet hit the Earth's atmosphere. They seem to emanate from the direction of Perseus. Indeed, meteors, shooting stars, are close-by objects. Particles emanating from the comet hitting the Earth's atmosphere about only 100 kilometers above the Earth's surface. So we have front seats in a heavenly spectacle. Like driving in a car through the rain. Raindrops hitting the windshield, and here it's cometary dust hitting the Earth's atmosphere. The maximum of the Perseids happens in the night August 11th to August 12th in the morning sky. All night through, we will be able to see the two giant planets, Jupiter and Saturn. When we use a telescope, we are able to see the beauty of those two planets, the rings of Saturn and the cloud belts of Jupiter. All these events happen around summer. But there is another cluster, a big cluster of celestial events beginning in November. Half a year after the strawberry super blood moon in May, the next season of eclipses kick in. Once more, Sun, Moon, and Earth align, and we have a nice pair of eclipses. A lunar eclipse at full moon on November 19th, and a solar eclipse 2 weeks later on December 4th. North America is in an excellent position to see the lunar eclipse. It will take place in the pre-dawn hours with the visible stages ending before moonset. More challenging will be the total solar eclipse on December 4th. You'll have to travel a long way to Antarctica to see it in full splendor, maybe on board the new Viking Octantis. If weather permits, also parts of southern Africa, including South Africa and Namibia, will see this eclipse, but only as a tiny partial solar eclipse. A total solar eclipse is an experience you won't forget for the rest of your life. Standing in the dark shadow of the moon for a few seconds or even minutes, you see the delicate glow of the solar corona, the hot outer layers of our fiery star. But don't worry, if you miss this Antarctic eclipse on December 4th this year, in April 2023, a total eclipse will be visible in Southeast Asia and Australia. And even better, in April 2024, the shadow of the moon will sweep across Mexico, USA, and Canada. We all will be prepared for that big one, I hope. Well, now back to our current year. One important planet was hiding so far in the glare of evening twilight. Our inner neighbor, planet Venus. And finally, in November and December, it's showtime for Venus as evening star. Just watch the southwestern horizon in early December after sunset. Evening star Venus reaches its greatest brilliancy in early December and is visible already at sunset. For about an hour, you might see a parade of planets. With Jupiter higher in the sky and Saturn between Jupiter and Venus. What a great Christmas parade that is. And the crescent moon will join this Christmas parade. From December 6th till December 10, it moves past these planets. Also, Mercury joins the parade, but we will no longer be able to observe it because it happens too low at the horizon, and the scene will be dominated by bright twilight at sunset. So remember, Venus calls for attention each evening during the Christmas season, before plunging back towards the sun early in 2022. What a great finale of 2021. But that's not all. I have one more thing for you to show. A surprise guest. A new comet is on its way towards the sun, with prospects that it may become bright enough to see with the unaided eye by year's end. As a faint, fuzzy dot among stars, this comet was discovered by astronomer Director Leonard on January 3rd. And so it bears the name of the discoverer, Comet Leonard. When it was first sighted, it was out near the orbit of Jupiter, far from the sun, but just beginning to feel the effects of the sun's warming rays and slowly beginning the process for it to blossom into an impressive celestial object. The first calculations demonstrated that it is traveling in an exceedingly long elliptical orbit, taking it out as far as 523 billion kilometers. That is 3,500 times the distance of the Earth from the Sun. The comet has spent the last 35,000 years falling inbound towards the Sun. And after being frozen, after being in such a state for tens of thousands of years, Comet Leonard is now beginning to awake from its long slumber. The reason for expecting a bright show for this comet are its close approaches to both the Earth and the Sun. Here you see Comet Leonard's trajectory through our solar system. North is up, so you can see that this comet is approaching us from above the plane of the planets. Initially, it will be visible from Earth's northern hemisphere and then from the southern hemisphere. On December 12th, it will pass within 35 million kilometers of Earth. And on January 3rd, 2022, exactly 1 year after discovery, the comet will pass within 92 million kilometers of the Sun. If you live in the northern mid-latitudes, you can start observing Comet Leonard as early as September in the constellation of the Great Bear, but probably only as a faint fuzzy point of light. Around mid-December 2021, it will become visible just after sunset, very low in the southwest horizon as seen from the US. Just watch again this scene, half an hour after sunset at the southwestern horizon. Right next to Venus, you might be able to spot Comet Leonard. It should be a good comet when you watch it with a pair of binoculars. Since Comet Leonard will be positioned between the Sun and Earth, it might get brighter than currently expected, due to the effect of forward scattering of sunlight from cometary particles. So it could become visible to the naked eye. But since all comets are notoriously unpredictable, we can only guess just how bright Comet Leonard and its tail will get. We're just going to have to wait and see. For sure, this comet will be a once-in-a-lifetime sight. According to calculations by astronomers, once it rounds the Sun, this comet will be thrown out of the solar system, never to be seen again. Well, what a treat. We just have to open our eyes and minds. There's so much to see up there. And the top acts in 2021 for sure will be Mars in the first half year, the giant planets with a super flower blood moon in summer, and the evening star Venus later this year as a grand finale. So in a sense, 2021 is a year between Mars and Venus. Well, that's also true in another sense, because our Earth moves on a narrow path between greenhouse hell Venus and cold desert planet Mars. Shining brightly in reflected sunlight, this is what our planet looks like right now. The third rock as seen from our Sun, our spaceship, a beautiful blue marble. Astronauts are not just the few men and women on board the International Space Station. We all are astronauts, flying around the Sun on board Spaceship Earth. Together, we have to keep an eye on the life support systems of our spaceship. As children of the stars, we steer it into the future. And the stars are not only around us, they are in us. We all descended from stars. And especially in sometimes dark and challenging hours, we should learn to make these stars in us shine. So, fellow astronauts and children of the stars, keep looking up and forward. Clear skies, and thank you for watching.